do it. Hey RJ, how do you feel about fried chicken?
I think it's swell. Why?
What if I told you you could get the best damn fried chicken that you've ever eaten?
Does it come with condiments like gravy?
Yeah, damn sure well does.
Wow, we're gonna get this fried chicken with gravy.
You can get it at Jollibee.
Wow, where at?
Seafood City, my friend. And not only that, but you can get spaghetti with your fried chicken.
Spaghetti? Is it a special kind of spaghetti?
Yes, I'm glad you asked. It's spaghetti with hot dogs.
Wow, sounds good. Sign me up for this promo code where I can get this spaghetti with hot dogs and build my professional website in less than 10 minutes.
That's right. All you need to do is go to this non-existent website and enter this code, I want chicken.
And in no time, they will send you 10 shaving creams, a free audiobook, and some fried chicken.
And you can eat it on this Casper mattress that you can get with the same code.
So enter promo code RJ2018.
Just save that as a separate file. Hello everybody and welcome back to the audiobliss podcast. This is the second episode. Here after
a long
period.
Hiatus.
A year-long hiatus, maybe. I'm sure you've all been eagerly waiting and definitely have not forgotten this exists.
All 10 of you.
I don't think we even have 10 subscribers on that YouTube channel.
So today's topic...
we decided to talk about rhythm games because we've been playing them quite a lot.
Alright, so what do you like rhythm games?
What do I like rhythm games? Because they're just something that's real fun to play and easy to zone out to. You just get into the music, start listening to it, zone out, get your groove on, and you can just feel like you're playing something and interacting something without having to think about waypoints and climbing shit and revealing stuff on the map or whatever.
I agree.
Why don't you tell me a little bit about how you got started with the rhythm games?
I think, like, with everyone our age, mid-20s, so we're talking about 23 to 27 right now, it was through DDR. So my first experience with DDR was going to a friend's place, and he had this man with a stack of DDR games since Konami basically almost localized all of them back in the day. I wanted one for myself, so I asked my parents, but they said no, so I did what every other kid did back then, asked her rich aunt. But she...
Yes, everyone has their rich aunt.
But she gave me, I don't know where she got this from, but it was a bootleg DDR mat. And the songs on there was like mini versions of like Christmas songs, of carol music, of what else, of some unlicensed pop songs.
Basically karaoke knockoff.
Yeah, karaoke knockoffs. And it was stylized in like some hybrid 32 16-bit form.
What?
It's like
it's not like, even full CD playback.
It's like those games that you get from like the mall kiosk where it's like the 32-in-1.
All right. So that's how you got your start, huh?
Mm-hmm. And then it expanded on to my school. My school had DDR during PE.
For the people who didn't want to participate.
That Chicago suburban school education.
Wow, y'all got funding over there. I didn't even have a proper cafeteria.
What about you?
Well, like everybody, of course, DDR, once again. Of course, the Filipino guy in the class would bring it over for our school parties. Well, our class parties, sorry. It's not like these were officially sanctioned by Chicago public schools. Mm. So we'd have those, and we'd play those, and those were pretty much like the only games that Konami brought over for a while. I mean, there were a couple other ones on PS2, but everybody just played DDR. So yeah, that big rhythm game boom happened, and everybody had plastic instruments all of a sudden. I didn't really get into it until like maybe Rock Band, because that's when I had a job and money as a teenager, which means you can spend it any way you want. So we started playing those, and then from there I started getting into some of the other ones. I played the Rock Band on PSP. That was just basically Amplitude with rock songs.
Do you remember the Guitar Hero on the regular DS.
Oh yeah, the one you
with
plug it into the
slot,
GBA slot. Yeah, you see a couple of those in secondhand shops a lot now.
with all 5 songs on there.
Yeah, and then after that, I started seeing copies of DJ Max in shops, and those are more like the classic rhythm game style with the lanes that you hit the buttons to.
All right, so do you want to start about
Yeah, I
types
guess
of
we
rhythm games are there?
Yeah, I guess we should explain some of that. So, like, most of the ones that you'll see are kind of like the stuff that you're used to in, like, Guitar Hero and Rock Band, where they'll give you some lanes and some colored buttons that you hit to the timing of the music. That's the most common one. That one's pretty easy to put different songs in, and then you can kind of have music videos or what have you in the background. So you'll see a lot of those. Besides the Guitar Hero, there's, like, the rest of the Konami Bimani series.
Bimani, Beatmania was one of the more prominent ones. It's still prominent to an extent. The US only got one official Beatmania release. Yeah,
it's super expensive.
We have it without the
controller.
Without the control. That included hit songs such as "Toxic" by Britney Spears.
Incredibly popular.
Incredibly.
Yeah, there was a lot of them ended up in the arcades. So you saw the stuff like what is it, Guitar Freaks? That is basically Guitar Hero before that popped up. I think there's a couple like drumming ones and other ones like that could hook up to that machine if they had
Drummania, I believe.
Yeah, Drummania. And then there's obviously DDR, which stuff like Stepmania is based off of. Those were like the big leaders. They also had poppin' music, which would have like that was also another arcade staple. It's basically like big giant looking like a children's play toy looking circles.
Think Beatmania, but with colorful buttons,
Yeah.
no turntable, and a much more easier note pattern.
Yeah, so you just kind of mash those. I feel like a couple of those might have come here, but I could probably be misremembering that one. I know they had like a whole bunch on the PS1 and 2 and Dreamcast. But a lot of those don't really come over here. The ones that do kind of get localized were more of the like events or focused ones, or like the kind of like humor focused ones, like stuff like
Rhythm Heaven,
yeah. The rhythm style MIDI games and like
Elite Beat Agents,
Harmonite. We also got Space Channel 5 by the same director who did Rez, which is kind of like a more call and response style game. So basically, you'll see it. It's if you've ever played Parappa the Rapper, you have the same kind. It's the same kind of idea. Somebody goes before you, they give you a rhythm sequence, and then you do it to match the beat to them.
But this one has Michael Jackson.
Yes, this one does. Both games do have Michael Jackson. For whatever reason, they keep porting the second one, not the first one. I don't know why, but that one does have more Michael Jackson in it, so I guess I understand.
And then there's dance games such as Just Dance.
Yeah, Just Dance is a pretty popular one, and Dance Central.
Yeah, the Microsoft one.
So
you can also lump in DDR with this.
Yeah, it's sort of like a evolution of DDR, but now they have motion control, so they can kind of get a little bit more elaborate. Instead of you just stepping into patterns a lot, it's a lot more about focusing on poses. You hit a pose with the time of the music. Those are incredibly popular. Apparently, they still make copies of Just Dance for the Wii, just the regular Wii, because people still buy it. Like, there's probably like a Just Dance 2017 for the regular Wii that you can buy now.
Other than there's touch games where you can play on your cell phones, on the Vita, on the 3DS, and on your Switch.
Yeah, they also have them in arcades now. Touch devices are becoming super common, and it's kind of led to a lot of newer styles of control, like newer rhythm games, like a resurgence in it, especially for mobile platforms.
I guess what popularized the touch-based rhythm games on cell phones would be Tap Tap Revolution, where they had about 60 different variants of it, from Nine Inch Nails to Katy Perry to Fall Out Boy.
Was there just like a Nine Inch Nails Tap Tap Revolution?
There was.
It's just like all Nine Inch Nails. Yeah, everybody in high school who could afford an iPhone, and by that time I was in the suburbs, so everybody could. Everyone had like 3 copies of Tap Tap Revolution on their phone.
And then there's also hardware-based music games where also Beatmania could fall under this. There's Taiko, where you have to
have like drums. Taiko style Japanese festival style drums. A lot of these can be played without them, but
Mhm.
they're usually use the hardware, kind of like Rock Band and stuff. They use the hardware as like the appeal of it.
So a lot of hardware-based rhythm games also fall into the lane rhythm games as well. There's also
Just weird stuff like Donkey Konga.
yeah, Donkey Kong as well.
Was Donkey Konga just the rhythm one, or am I thinking of
They
Jungle Beat? That's
yeah,
like a platform.
they had two dedicated rhythm ones, and then they had the platform ones where you used drums as well.
Oh, and there's also like Samba de Amigo, which
Mhm.
actually has like hardware maracas for the Dreamcast version, and you just use the Wiimote for the Wii version.
And then there's it's hard to place a category in this, but there's also just controller-based rhythm games such as Miku. The later Idol Master games, there's IAVT. The
Yeah,
Persona.
there are a lot of like idol and
Mhm.
pop focused ones. Even like they also made those Persona 4 spin-offs, and they're going to be 3 and 5. And at least 4 was also like ended up being like a sort of idol thing.
Mhm.
Those vary the way that they use their button layouts, but the big thing is that they give you kind of like a stage and a background event to focus on like the virtual singer or whatever as you play it. And a lot of those can kind of depending on them, they can meander in where they use the note patterns or how they set them up.
So do you want to talk about the accessibility for some of these?
Yeah, so a lot of rhythm games, there's like a really wide range. A lot of like Beatmania kind of stuff, which is just basically, hitting buttons in time during the lanes to finish them off. They get really complex in patterns because a lot of their focus is on the music and the patterns themselves rather than like any other spectacle, so they really want you to just be dialed in all the time. Those can get really difficult and kind of hard to, sort of inaccessible, especially when you get to later stuff like some of the entries in the DJ Max series on the PSP get really demanding as far as how many buttons they want you to press per second and what the timing is. But then there's also stuff like Just Dance, which is a lot more casual and really just wants you to feel good about dancing and maybe like vaguely hit the notes. That's fine. And then there's like
stuff like Taiko or
it's stuff like Taiko, which is a lot more lenient. It's only got like a single lane basically, and they just kind of want you to feel that rhythm. And they do get more complex in patterns, but they don't give you like 6 different buttons that you got to keep track of all this at the same time.
And you don't have to play the higher difficulties to unlock new stuff in that game. You can easily breeze through and unlock new content just with the regular difficulty. So.
Yeah, like the ones that tend to be popular around here, like the rock bands and the harmonics kind of stuff, they give you pretty wide timing windows. They can get pretty difficult at the later difficulties, but especially now they have they're real good about giving you customizable difficulties.
So at its core, rhythm games are very accessible, and should you get good, I mean, you can always... That's a disgusting word, but you can
a bad phrase.
But you know what I mean. But you can always,
Yeah, a lot of them, especially those lane-based ones, those Beatmanias and those DJ Maxes, they do actually give you a lot of different difficulty modes to go through, and a lot of different things like adjusting the tempo. Well, not the tempo of the song, but like the speed at which notes and stuff come at you.
Yeah, and there's also power-ups like with DJ Max where, even despite if you're playing a hard song, if you have that certain icon on, for example, you can miss up to 30 notes and it won't affect your combo at all.
Yeah, so they've done a lot of stuff with like adding RPG elements and stuff like that, leveling up, which is like, then you take it to like its logical extreme, which is they just basically made that Final Fantasy rhythm game, Theatrhythm, which is like, here's a whole RPG, but also everything is a rhythm game.
So what would you recommend to those new to the genre?
So a lot of the difficulty of rhythm games, aside from just learning them, is finding them. If you're really into rhythm games, you're going to end up importing a lot of them, and you're going to end up wading through a lot of Japanese menus, or finding an arcade like Round 1 that specializes in Japanese machines in order to play them. But there are quite a few ways to do that. You can also break system locks on like some systems like the Wii or the Wii U if you really want to import those, or you could just get them for like DS, PSP, and like Vita. And
most of our recommendations will be handheld based. So
yeah, you'll see a lot of games on the handhelds because those tend to be a lot more popular as far as getting actual English localized ones. We've got a little list here for depending on kind of what you're really into.
So first up, there's Groove Coaster. This cab was actually localized as well, but if you can't make it to an arcade for whatever reason, they also have this on both iPhone and Android. Do you want to talk what Groove Coaster is?
Basically, Groove Coaster is a game from Taito, the people who make Space Invaders. If you've played any of like Space Invaders Extreme or Space Invaders Infinity Gene, I think it is. It uses sort of the Infinity Gene art style, but it's basically there's a single line which your character, your little avatar will travel across, and you basically just tap the screen or swipe the screen to the rhythm of the song. And there's a little improvisational notes that you can do. So if you can feel out the rhythm, you can, if you hit non-note spaces as you go through it, you'll hit hidden notes and get extra bonuses. So there's little complications to that. But the big thing is kind of just on the visual experience and letting you do something simple, but like challenging enough. And then also as your character goes through the line, it'll move through 3D space, twist around, kind of just like a roller coaster, like its name. And so that becomes kind of like the focus of it. And that's pretty easy. I think Groove Coaster 2 is like I think it's free on cell phones at this point. It's pretty easy to get into. Just have some hard drive space open.
Yeah. If you're getting on the iPhone, just switch your region over to the Japanese store. If you have Android, download Ku app, which basically...
I think they're in English.
Really?
Yeah, I think Groove Coaster, you don't even...
I'm probably just a weeaboo then. It's also coming out on Steam, supposedly this month, along with Space Invaders Extreme.
I think Space Invaders Extreme might have dropped or is about to drop, but Groove Coaster is going to come along with it, so if you have to have buttons, that's a good choice.
Another one on the list would be the Persona series. There's Persona 4 Dancing All Night. That's out right now.
Yeah, that's been out for a bit. It's like a
visual novel. Yeah,
it's a combination. It's a visual
novel.
There's a visual novel aspect to it, and then in between for certain events, like it's interesting because all the dance sequences are all tied to specific events. So even when you play them in free play mode, you'll kind of see that specific scene from the story in it. But it's like a visual novel spin-off of Persona 4. It's an idle game again.
It's canon for those who care.
Yeah.
They're coming out with Persona 3.
3 and 5?
3 and 5. Moonlight Midnight.
Dancing Moonlight? Dancing Starlight, I think?
I don't know.
I don't know which one's which. It doesn't really matter. I don't know if those will have a story on them.
They probably will.
Yeah? You think? You think they'll be canon?
I mean, as right now, it's declared not canon, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Those will come out. Those are pretty easy if you like, I guess, anime or anime RPGs like the Persona games. If you really like it, those characters, you can spend some more time with them and you can play the very good Persona music. It's basically it's like sort of. Would you say no? There's not really lanes. Like basically,
it's not really lanes. It's like, well.
Like
it's gonna be it's like Sonic, but that's later.
Yeah, so basically notes radiate from the center of the screen out towards the edges, and then you hit the buttons on the edges, or flick the analog stick in time to the beat.
There's also Theatrhythm, which we
mentioned earlier. Yeah,
mentioned earlier. There's 2 games on 3DS. We would recommend Curtain Call, which is basically an expansion of the other ones. There's 3 modes to Theatrhythm. There's one where there's a battle mode where you basically tap and flick. As it's another lane-based game where the notes will glide across the screen and then you would just tap or flick. You can also use buttons as well, but tapping's a bit much easier.
Yeah, the first game started off. It's a 3DS game, so the first game was based around the touch stuff, and they kind of added in the buttons for the second one. The tapping is pretty responsive and it's pretty lenient.
There's also a field mode where it's also another lane-based thing, but it also adds in the character.
Yeah, you control one character. It adds in like tracing, where you have to trace the line. Basically, it's like you get like a chibi party of Final Fantasy characters, and each there is that last mode too.
Yeah, the FMV mode where you get to see Nomura's creation.
Yeah, you get to see the PS1 cutscenes of Final Fantasy VIII while you play the specific dance song or whatever. They basically split the songs between the 3 different categories. There's like the battle music, the field music from like just traveling around the world, and then there's the event scenes, which are like important scenes and from your Final Fantasy games. But yeah, the best part is really there's a lot of RPG stuff. You can level up your characters, and you can unlock a whole bunch of chibi versions of your favorite characters, put them together in a party. You fight monsters as you hit the thing, and you'll beat bosses as you go through it. So basically, if you like Final Fantasy music, even if you don't really care about Final Fantasy, you can probably get into it.
There's also Miku. The Mirai series has been localized here for quite a while now. They've moved on to the Future Tone series, which was arcade inspired. For Future Tone, it is free to play, but there are 2 DLC packs at $20 each, respectively.
Yeah, so those are basically, I think those are under the banner of Project Diva, but it's all the Hatsune Miku Vocaloid characters, virtual idols that use like the Vocaloid software to basically create a digital singer. I believe that they have the other Vocaloid characters in there too. They're just not as spotlighted.
No, because no one cares about them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know who any of them are. But yeah, it's all it's all Japanese pop music, but it is all Vocaloid songs.
With Future Tone, if you are a Sega fan, there are some Afterburner songs. I forgot that racing one.
There's an Outrun song.
Yeah, there's an Outrun.
There's an Afterburner one. I think wasn't there one more?
I think we also just pissed off a majority of our readers by saying no one cares about Miku.
Nobody cares about the other non-Miku characters. Nobody talks about non-Miku Vocaloids.
I mean, there's Rin. There's we have a Miku expert here in the studio. Would you like to chime in?
No,
okay.
That's okay.
We're not paying you anyway.
There's Miku, there's Rin, there's her twin brother Len, there's Luca, there's Kaito, there's the girl version of Kaito. They all have gender bent versions. There are like 50 of these characters.
That's why no one cares about them.
I think we're gonna be in trouble later. But yeah, if you don't like Vocaloid, I mean, I don't think you should really start with that one.
It's really easy to get to, though.
It's easy to get to. It's really accessible. It's easy to find in a shop. You can even find it at some GameStop.
You can walk into a GameStop.
You can walk into a GameStop. I'm sure they'll have like 3 different Miku games. Like you said, Future Tone is probably like the pack because it has most of the series songs. You could also get like Project Mirai on
for the Vita, PS3.
Is it on the Vita? No, sorry, I was thinking of no, which one's the Chibi one?
The Chibi. Oh, that's on the 3DS. That's on the 3DS.
That's the one I was talking about.
Project Moon, yeah.
Yeah, but most of the songs are also included in Future Tone.
The 3DS one, like the Edge Rhythm beforehand, you can use the bottom touchscreen as well.
The buttons.
I would recommend using the button base since the touchscreen really isn't responsive.
Yeah, and also in Miku games, the notes tend to move around on the screen, so that can get kind of distracting.
There's Rhythm Heaven if you want to talk about
Rhythm Heaven is probably that's a good one for anybody who like kind of likes WarioWare. It's by the same Nintendo studio that does WarioWare, and it's basically a bunch of like silly mini games that have very short songs. They basically have very short songs that you kind of tap to, and like humorous things will start happening. What are a couple of the games in it to like give people an idea? Like they have a really cute, funny art style.
Yeah,
too.
they do. One of them.
You might have seen Beyonce playing them on a commercial around the time of the first DS.
Although I'm trying to think of one. It's been a while, but it's like nah. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay, but
so there's one where you like pluck facial hairs from like an onion.
There's one with a slingshot.
There's one where you like put robot parts together, or like throw screws through bolts to screw them in to time to the music. There's one where you're like a bunch of pelicans, and they're like in a military training camp, and you have to like tap and flick your beak to like the drill instructor's instructions. There's one where there's like a watch, and like every tick of the watch is a monkey that you have to like high five on your way around. They're really silly and very cute rhythm games, and they can get pretty tough. But
it leads you into it.
Yeah,
it builds you into it. So
most of them do a pretty good job of leading you into it, except for the Wii one, which like the 4th one is Monkey Clock, and it's impossible because you have to hit things on like an offbeat, and you're like, what is this? That's just me being salty.
Mm.
The best ones to get. Well, there's 3 of them here, right?
The 3DS, DS, and Wii.
Yeah, so there was Rhythm Heaven. I think it might just be called Rhythm Heaven here, or Rhythm Heaven Gold on the DS, which is probably cheap, but I don't know because collectors have been driving prices up for everything Nintendo.
Blame those YouTubers.
Yeah. There's the Wii one, which is, what is it? Like, was that Mega Mix?
Yeah, Mega Mix.
No, Mega Mix is a 3DS one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, there's the Wii one. It doesn't matter. Those have new songs in them. Rhythm Heaven Mega Mix, I think, on the 3DS is probably the one to go for now. I don't believe we got I'm not sure we got a physical copy. I don't think we did here. It's probably digital only, but it's basically a mix of like the greatest from the series, and that's, if you haven't played any of them, that's probably the one to start with. It's like $30. It has like 50 games or something in it, right?
Yeah. Up next would be DJ Max. We would recommend, if you have a Vita though, we would recommend with the Technica series or Technica 3. It's touch based. A lot of the music in there ranges from house music to K-pop, such as Kara.
Pop ballads, weird things like that.
Mm-hmm. Like with the prior rhythm, like with other rhythm games, of course, it builds up to it can get really difficult even with the touch based interface.
So
I mean,
it's DJ Max is kind of notorious for sending out really complex patterns really fast.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's one, like if you want to challenge yourself, go ahead. They're also bringing out, what is it? DJ Max Respect for PS4.
Respect.
So just from seeing it, it looks pretty in line with kind of like the PSP entries. So that's basically, if you want to play the bullet hell of rhythm games, go ahead, knock yourself out. You know, you joke about it being the Dark Souls of rhythm games, but I went on the PlayStation blog where they were announcing that this coming there, and they literally use that phrase.
Nope. It's disgusting.
Yep. So yeah, if you want to be able to play approximately 10% of the songs and fail out and never finish the rest of them, you can go ahead and start with that one, unless you're really confident in your abilities.
But there's also Sonic.
The music's pretty good in it.
But yeah, there's also Sonic, which was
Super Beat Sonic.
Super Beat Sonic, that is out for the Vita, Xbox One, surprisingly, PS4, and Nintendo Switch. That was made by by the older DJ Max developers.
That one's a little bit more lenient.
It is.
It gives you options for like
either touch based.
How strict the timing is. You can play it touch based, or you can use buttons.
It's really fun. We've reviewed it 2 times on the site, so check that out.
I might review it a third time.
Yeah. For which console?
For Switch. Just because I got the Vita version, and actually the Switch version loads a little bit faster, which like makes it way more bearable.
But yeah, we would really highly recommend Sonic, actually, because
that's kind of a good in between.
It really is.
It builds up to the really hard stuff, and there's a 4-button and 6-button version of each song.
And for touch-based rhythm games, we would recommend Voyez or Demo. Demo is more
piano
classical based. I mean, there are some J-pop songs in there, but
Voyez is like
Voyez
it's all electronica, but it's like a very specific style.
It's like electronica. There's J-pop. There's some metal in that.
Yeah, there is some metal. It's not very good. It's the songs are kind of all over the place as far as in terms of quality, but it got a really nice aesthetic. It's it uses lanes again for the touchscreen, but basically the cool thing about it is like the lanes will like kind of pulse and change colors to the beat. When you swipe at some of them, you'll see them flick across the screen and things like that. It's on. I don't know if it's on Android, but it's definitely on iOS, right?
They're actually all on. They're all on Android and iOS.
Okay, yeah.
Voyez Demo. Voyez actually used to be on the PlayStation Mobile site.
Oh yeah, right. They took down PlayStation Mobile. Yeah.
Demo is available on both the Switch and the Vita. Voyez is available on the Switch. So, like I said, our list is really handheld heavy.
Yeah. So the mobile versions are, I think, free to play.
Mm-hmm.
So you can kind of grind out enough currency to earn new songs, but the Switch version just kind of comes with everything.
The Switch version also has more songs.
They also updated both of them to have button-based gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. Like the button, it'll help you just kind of focus on the beat of the song, but they don't do really anything very like specific with the lanes or anything. Like they don't take anything of that into account. I think VOAS is just like hit any button, any face button or arrow button on the Switch to hit the beat.
I haven't tried the control base yet. So.
Yeah, you just basically hit like any button. It doesn't matter. And then you can hit the analog sticks for the swiping motions. It really shows that it's like a touch-based game, which is fine. Like it works. I think it works. I think both of those work better on a touch screen. But like I've been playing it on my TV and using controllers and enjoying it and like a lot. So like either option's fine. Whatever is the most comfortable for you, you go with that. I kind of recommend the Switch versions if you can get those. Like those are like 25 and 30, I think.
25 and 30. They have more songs.
They have like basically all the DLC
plus more songs.
yeah, and some extra songs, and they also kind of get rid of the kind of grindy nature of the other stuff. But I mean, like, play it on what you got, you know. What else we got?
It's actually in the import list now. So for this list, you would either have to import or have to go to a local arcade.
Yeah, so there you might find a couple of these in arcades.
Let's start off with Taiko.
So Taiko, if Taiko had English releases that were accessible, I would probably recommend it as just like a rhythm game to get into, because like we kind of mentioned before, it's there's one lane, and all you do is hit either the inside buttons or the outside buttons. On the arcade version, you either hit the inside of the drum or the outside of the drum. You can hit the left or right side, it doesn't really matter. Or sometimes it'll ask you to hit both sides at the same time.
Dang, this is really good Coca-Cola. But yeah, Taiko, it's predominantly seen on Nintendo consoles, for whatever reason. But
they have like a bunch of PSPs, and there's like
they do,
a Vita version that has like
they have 3 Vita
RPG
versions out. Yeah, they
have a couple of them.
Yeah, they have 3 Vita versions. 2 of them are Idol Masters, one red version and one blue version. Only suckers would buy both, but
didn't you?
They also have the standard Taiko, but
yeah,
a lot of the fun ones are on Nintendo consoles, such as the Wii.
Yeah, so there's the Wii ones, there's the Wii U ones, there's DS ones. You can get them on like basically.
There's the 3DS ones.
Was it like PS2 it started?
Yeah, it started out in the PS2.
And that's like, they actually localized only one game in the series.
Yeah, but
the PS2.
The PS2 version, they stripped out all of the songs. They replaced it with some prog rock. I think there's...
Did they have prog rock in there? I remember it's like a lot of like weird 80s pop songs.
They also had Blink-182, I believe.
Yeah, there's like the track list is. Because they basically took like this Japanese game full of like Japanese pop music,
and they're like these guys just don't know anything,
and they just decided, oh yeah, I want to play some festival drums in my Sharona and rock Lobster. Sure, why not? Or yeah, there's there's ABC by the Jackson 5, which is in like every American rhythm game.
So to play these on your Wii, you would either have to soft mod it or remove the region lock.
Yeah, if you soft mod it, you can remove the region lock without doing anything difficult.
And then you can either import the disc or somehow
magically
stumble upon the ISO. Otherwise, if you have a Vita, you can just import them directly, since the Vita's region free. The DS is also region free, so you can do that.
But not the 3DS.
Yeah, the 3DS you would have to like soft mod it or import.
Yeah, or import or pay for a Japanese version.
But overall, I mean, regardless, I think Taiko is the easiest rhythm game to get into.
Yeah, they have a lot of difficulties. They have 4 levels of difficulty. The timing's not too hard. There's not too many buttons to press. You just kind of feel the beat, and you can play a lot of like Japanese pop music, some classical songs. Depending on each game, they usually have a couple of Namco tracks, or if it's like a Nintendo console, they have some Super Mario tracks thrown in there. Some of them have like Idol Master tracks. One of them, I think, has some suite of like Miku tracks.
Yeah, the Vita one had a lot of Vocaloid.
Yeah, there was a Vita one that had like a Vocaloid crossover. The Wii one, there's a Wii one with a Vocaloid crossover. You can play there's a lot of anime. You'll see a lot of rhythm games. You'll see a lot of anime songs.
Yeah, so if you dislike the aesthetic, well, this genre is for you.
Yeah.
And then there's moving on from Taiko. Do you want to move on from Taiko, or do you want to keep
the only thing I would really say is that Taiko's pretty easy as far as like navigating menus and stuff, which is like a big part of playing something. Like everything's completely in Japanese. Like if you basically know how menus are laid out in video games, I'm sure you can figure it out.
Want to move on to Itachi? It's a, I believe, DS game by Konami.
Yeah, so Itachi is technically part of the Bimani series. And I think part of the Pop and Music series. It's basically got very like cute pastel-looking characters that dance in time with the music, but basically you hold it book style on the DS, and you tap, swipe, and scribble in different lanes, and it's basically full of, again, Japanese pop music,
anime songs, The Cruel Angel's Thesis.
Yeah, both Taiko and Itachi both have Cruel Angel's Thesis. So if you wanted to play Evangelion music and watch some cute anime characters dance, you're in luck.
This would fall under the Imports Arcade Rex. There's also Crossbeats Rev. It's another touch-based interface, just like DJ Max, where you would just tap, basically, how do I explain it? So the notes would do that.
They come from the outside.
Yeah, they come from the outside to the inside. So
yeah, it's like a reverse Sonic, I guess, right?
There's also Sound Voltex, which is another lane-based Konami game where you use those big giants.
But yeah, if you have an arcade that like, if there's like a Round One or any other arcade that has like a whole bunch of Japanese caps, you probably see a lot of them. You probably also see the kind of people who walk around with headphones because these arcades get really loud. So these music machines also have headphone jacks. So you'll know the people who came here to play dance games and rhythm games because they brought their own headphones.
But yeah, if you do have, I'm pretty sure you do have a smartphone. Konami has ported over a lot of their Bimani stuff over there, such as Jubeat or Fleckbeat.
Are those available in like English?
No, they're not. You would have to switch your region to Japan or.
I feel like they did bring over. Was it Love Live or Idol Master that they have here?
It's Love Live. Oh, speaking of which, I would recommend both Idol Master mobile games. Of course, you have to weed through all the idle garbage, but it is a rhythm game at heart. If you do want to play a complete Idol Master rhythm game, I would recommend Stella Stage for the PS4. Read my review on that. There's also the PSP games, Shiny Festa, as well.
Yeah, and then there's a whole bunch of like...
Shiny Festa doesn't focus much on
the management
style, which it's just more of a rhythm game. If you want both, there's Stella Stage and Platinum Stars. Is there anything else you would recommend?
I don't know. I guess what we're saying is get a touch device, probably an iOS device, and pay up the ass to have storage space because these games are freaking huge, and every time you load up another one, they'll download the song, and there goes another 5 megabytes. And get a handheld. Finally join the Pocket Revolution. Stop being a fucking pretentious asshole who only plays console games.
On PC games, my Total War.
There are a lot of rhythm games on PC.
They are, to be fair,
DJ Max started off as PC.
Yeah, they are porting a lot of stuff.
But they're ridiculously annoying to play. Like, I guess you could technically get like DJ Max Trilogy, but it comes with like a security dongle you have to have plugged in to actually play the game. So yeah, no, get a fucking handheld, Jesus.
Or just find a Round One.
Yeah, if you have a Round One in your area. They have a ton of music games.
Unfortunately, here in Chicagoland, they're out in the boonies for God knows what reason.
But yeah, if you have a touch device, you got something that can play rhythm games. You can play rhythm games for free before you get into any of the heavy shit. And then if you're ready to import them or you want to go into some deeper dives, you're willing to play some older consoles, we'll have some recommendations for you down the line.
Well, I think that's it for tonight's podcast.
Yeah, hopefully now you know a couple of music games that aren't all plastic instrument games.
No, I feel like going to Jollibee and drinking a cold glass of Coca-Cola. What about you?
I think I'm going to go with pineapple juice this time.
Have a good night.
Hey, thanks for listening to our podcast. Hopefully you had fun and you learned a couple of rhythm games that you can play right the fuck now. And if you enjoyed this, but you're like, Omar, your fucking audio quality, it's a piece of shit. Yeah, I agree. It's pretty bad. We have to record this in pretty noisy situations with not high quality mics. So if you want to help us change that, you can go to patreon.com/clickbliss, subscribe to us for a few dollars a month, And also, that'll help us get some podcast hosting, proper podcast hosting, so we're not putting it up where the fuck this is going up, which is definitely not going to be on a paid site with a good RSS feed, because let me tell you, that shit gets expensive. Hopefully, we'll have some links at the bottom to the reviews of the games that we talked about here. And just so you know, our music for this episode was April Showers by Pro Letter. Hopefully I'll also not be lazy, and I'll leave a link in the description, rather, and you'll find it there. Otherwise, you can go on archive.org. It's on the net label Dirty Wax Records. It's like the first hit. So anyway, wow, I am not good at podcasts.